Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here with another Oculus Touch video. Today we are in Oculus VR and we are in Google Earth, and I wanted to sort of show you where I come from. Atticus Finch once said that you can learn a lot about a person by walking in their shoes, so that is what I'm going to try to show you. Originally, I am from the great state of Indiana here, so let's zoom on in and find Evansville. This is where I was born, and we can zoom right in to the hospital that I was born in. We could just give that a left click there and fly right on in and let the world load up some. So this is where I'm from. This is Evansville, Indiana. We are right on this riverbank here, as you can see. It's essentially home. This is where I spent most of my days. When I wasn't at home, I was out here in Evansville. Let's just get down to the Lloyd Expressway here and take a look out. We'll let the world load in, and this is the skyline of Evansville. As you can see, Google Earth populates it as we go. We see the Fifth Third building over here. Driving along the highway or the expressway, we get the courthouse in here, the Fifth Third building, and right on the river, up over here on Riverside Drive, is our riverboat. Let's see, where is our riverboat? There she is. So this used to be known as Casino Aztar. It is now Tropicana, as you can see from the hotel right here that says Tropicana. We can go down to ground level and actually stand on the boat here. Over there is Kentucky, and this is Indiana water right here. And the interesting thing about this particular boat is it used to actually sail. So people would come on this boat to gamble, and it would pull out on the river. But because of Kentucky's gambling laws, there was a line in the river that it could not cross. So essentially, it came out of dock, pulled up here, and then just backed right back in. So they eventually parked it and made it a stationary casino. But Tropicana moved in and bought that casino. Let's take a look. Whoa, hello, Vectron building. So that's our power plant's headquarters there. This is Riverside Drive, and one cool thing on Riverside Drive that sort of appeals to me is the Veterans Memorial. If we continue on down the highway, or the Riverside Drive here we go. So this is the Four Freedoms Monument, and people like to walk along the river here on nice days. As you can see, it's a pretty nice boardwalk. It's got a nice walking bike path. Pretty scenic when it's all said and done. And here's the Four Freedoms Monument. Of course, Google Earth doesn't quite get the monument in tow. But yeah, this is downtown Evansville. This is... I don't make my way to downtown much. Usually I'm a West Sider. And Evansville is interesting. Let me zoom out to the actual map view here. This is 41, and Highway 41 essentially splits Evansville into East Side and West Side. And you cross that highway, and you can definitely tell you're in a different part of town. One of my old stomping grounds is Eastland Mall. So this is Green River Road down here, and this is Eastland Mall, and this is where you can get your eat on. Some shopping over here, and Eastland Mall, as you can see, let me zoom right on into ground level. So this is the Eastland Mall front parking lot. We got Eastland Mall there, and Yankee Candle, and TGI Fridays over here on the corner, which is pretty cool stuff. Let me see if I can find, just to show you exactly where I came from. See, there's the bend in the river. Let me just give this a quick rotate job. See if I can find Deaconess. Got some ball fields. It's different flying over. I know I can spot it really quick if I'm driving. Here we go. You can sort of see Deaconess Hospital by this, I don't know if they designed the building this way, but that medical cross. And right down here is where I was actually born. So let's get right down in here to the parking lot. And this is Deaconess Hospital. I believe I was born in this room over here, per se. And how cool is it that you can actually like zoom in and see, you know, the buildings that you're familiar with. But I'll show you where I used to hang out on the weekends, and this is definitely southern Indiana to a T. But once we get down here on the west side of town, right here in this big vacant parking lot, once the world loads, is AMC 16. So this is our local movie theater. They did a lot of renovations. They serve alcohol in there now. They got the reclining seats. It's a good deal. And if we were so bold and Google was awesome, we could see what movies were playing, so we could see exactly when this was taken. But not bad at all. Down here are some other eateries such as Hothead Burritos over here. We also have a Show Me's, which is sort of like a poor man's Hooters, if you will. And then over here is one of my favorite places to eat, Buffalo Wild Wings. So if you have a local B-Dubs, this is where your B-Dubs would be, next to an iMart and a Cold Stone Creamery and an iPhone Todd is actually where I got my, where I actually got my phone repaired. They did a very good job, Phone Todd there. And then when you were bored and didn't have a whole lot to do, I spent quite a few nights here at the local Walmart. This thing is huge. We got our pharmacy over here, general market over here, and over here is where I used to hang out. They loaded this up with some seasonal things like mulch and other things such as that. And this is actually where I got my oil changed in my car from time to time. This is the Tire and Lube Express. So pretty cool stuff. So this essentially is the west side of town. If you continue on, this isn't done in Google 3D yet, but this is the University of Southern Indiana, and this is where I got my Bachelor's of English degree. Over here is the Rice Library. Over here is the Liberal Arts Center, the Star Destroyer, which is the Business Center, and over here, let's see, there is the UC and the Cone. If this was actually like set in Google, this would be a traffic cone that would extend up like a witch's hat, and a fountain there that people always put bubbles in. So that's pretty cool. And then over here is the Orr Center. So this is where I spent most of my time as an English major. So I'm going to fast forward and show you the next stage of my life when I left this area and went on to basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia. So I will get to Fort Benning and I will see you in a moment. So here we are in Columbus, Georgia. You can't tell by looking at it, but right down here is where I went to basic training. This is going to zoom in. So over here was our dock for our dining facility. We're on Leonard Drive in Columbus, Georgia. And this is Delta 138, or at least it was. I'm not entirely sure. But we would come here, and this was my first taste of the Army, was walking right through here. There was the Delta sign in here. This was my building right over here. I was first platoon right upstairs, and if we were to spin around, this would be the track that we did PT on every morning at 6 o'clock, and it looks like they paved it. Awful nice of them. Back when I was here in 2002, this was all dirt. So this is what I saw every morning, just coming out through there. and then having the drill sergeant say hit the track, and then we would run out. We'd do a lap and not be fast enough and have to run the track again. But this is Sand Hill, Fort Benning, Georgia. This is where the infantry school is. So if you are prior service or in the Army or know someone who is an infantryman, this is where they went, right over here. So pretty cool stuff. Now I'll show you where I went to training in not too far away in Augusta, Georgia, at Fort Gordon. So one moment, I'll get us to Fort Gordon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fort Gordon, Georgia. Augusta is over there. This is Barton Field, and this is a 4-mile dirt track that most of the signal soldiers run on. There are some Air Force personnel there as well. But my view every morning when I woke up, and these are not our barracks. This was not the building that was here when I was, but this was the gym that we were received in. This was my barracks right here, and this is where we would do morning formation every morning, and my room was actually up over here. Our dining facility was just over here, which it looks like they renovated and made it awful nice. But yeah, this dump is where we used to take breaks and whatnot. But then we'd walk to school, and every morning I would see that building right there and not have a clue what it was. But we would head on down the street, and we would walk to the signal school. Let's see, where is our signal school? It's around here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where it went, but it looks like they've been doing a lot of construction, and that's sort of what I've noticed with Google Earth is coming to this new Earth, like as things are now. I find myself not familiar exactly with all the buildings because they're no longer the same. So, you know, it's sort of heartbreaking and whatnot. But it's cool to see, for sure. It's cool to be back again. But once I graduated basic training from Fort Gordon, Georgia, I was stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington. So let's get to Fort Lewis. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are in between Olympia and Tacoma, Washington. You can see McChord Air Force Base over here. This is now Joint Base Lewis-McChord, and you can see why, because they're relatively very close to one another. But this is the Banana Belt, right next to Gray Army Airfield, and my barracks actually used to be... Let's see, we got the turn. My barracks used to be right here. This is where I used to live. The barracks used to sit here. This used to be the 29th Signal Battalion, in which you can see now is nothing more than a parking lot. But speaking of parking lot, this is where I used to park my car. Actually over here, and there's a building with a smokestack over here that we used to form up by whenever we go to the range or whatnot. And it wasn't a bad walk to work. We just walk up this road and hang a left, and here was our motor pool. And it was in this very spot that we would form up and go to Iraq. Like, all of us were lined up right here as a company, standing in front of our motor pool. Before we deployed to Iraq, my trucks were actually right back here in the very back corner. And this is about my parking place. This building was not here that you see in the background. That one was that was an all field, and our Connex, our shipping container, was right back here. They just lined them up along the fence here, and we watched the cars go by on their way to and from work. So it wasn't a bad view. When I got to Fort Lewis, I was actually greeted with a pretty cool sight. Let me see if I can find it here. So here is our PX and commissary. So Washington is known for its very drab and dreary days. So I went to the PX here on a clear day, and I step outside these doors, and what do I see peeking over the tree line, but let me scoot on over. Mount Rainier. Now, I had never seen a mountain before in my life when I got to Washington, so I thought this was just a cloud formation. I thought, wow, that cloud's almost coming to a point, isn't it? Come to find out that there's a frickin' mountain over there that I didn't even realize was here. Over here is the infantry statue, which isn't exactly high res, but there's a infantryman here almost saying lead the way, and he's got his arm up and whatnot. But yeah, this is where I spent my entire enlisted career here at Fort Lewis. Except when I deployed, of course. I looked at Iraq, and the buildings are not built up, and it's, you know, just flat land. It's not too interesting to look at, but one thing that I did do before I deployed that was really interesting was attend my very first NASCAR race. So I will get you to the racetrack, and I will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are loading in the world here. We are standing at West International Speedway Boulevard, and if you are a NASCAR fan, then you automatically know Daytona is just over here. So Daytona, I don't think they've got Daytona Rising updated as far as the 3D models are concerned, but let's get down to the parking lot and take a look up at this monstrous grandstand. I mean, it is huge, absolutely huge. And this is the Roberts section, named after Fireball Roberts, and this is where I sat for my first NASCAR race. So we were just down here. Let me get down to the ground level here. And this is about where I sat for my very first NASCAR race. They sort of have the fence here, sort of blocking the view, but Daytona is massive. They come off this turn, 18 degrees of banking right here, and then they go off into the turn. Let's get down on the infield so you can see exactly how steep this banking is. But this is me standing, you know, full 6 foot tall, and the banking goes all the way up there, 18 degrees. Let's get actually on the banking and take a look. See if we can get a better spot. I mean, that banking is tremendous, and this isn't even in the turns. But if we were to win the Daytona 500 and end up in victory lane, we would actually end up right over here in Gatorade victory lane. So let's stand. The crew members would stand on that podium, and wow. Absolutely incredible. Now, when Google does their homework and gets this sort of ironed out, actually puts in 3D models, this will be pretty incredible. But this is free. Like, this is just Google making a best guess, and it is a pretty good guess indeed. So, so it looks like, is that Dale Jr.? So it looks like they're doing a racing school, I would say. It's not a full race weekend. We don't have the pit boxes and everything lined up, but this definitely looks like they were doing some sort of racing school here in Daytona. So really, really cool. The backstretch is way the crap over there. And let's go over the infield here. This is the 24-hour track that runs that way. And this is the backstretch. And on the tour van actually popped out about right here and told us to look down the back straightaway, and it is massive. Like, the turn is all the way back there. I mean, incredible. You can't get the scale, but this does a pretty good view of it. So after the Army and I got back, I attended a few more races. So let's take a look at a few more racetracks that I went to, starting with my home track of Indianapolis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here in Speedway, Indiana. Downtown Indianapolis is right over there, and just over here is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and they did a pretty decent job of modeling this. The first time I actually sat in the grandstands at Indianapolis, I was right over here, and this is a a pretty accurate view. It's one of the few racetracks that has grandstands both inside and outside the track. There were some TVs up here that we could watch the race, and Tony Stewart ended up winning that one. Here is the famous pagoda, which we will get right down in and take a look up at. Massive and monstrous. They don't have the scoring pylon here. This is supposed to be solid, but here is the famous yard of bricks that run all the way through the inside of the track. So if you were to head into the infield, oh, tracking's a little off. If you were to head into the infield, and there's the tunnel, the yard of bricks actually extends all the way through this little meeting area, and this is where they set up meet and greets, and they actually had us funnel in over here to get autographs. In this building right over here, all the Chevy drivers did an autograph signing, and in order to get that, you have to haul the mail from outside the racetrack right over through that gate over there, and then you go under the racetrack here and end up forming a line over here. But pretty cool stuff. I also sat inside of turn 3 for a race. They have this berm here that you set lawn chairs on, and not a great view. And this is what hurts Indianapolis as a racetrack, but this was my view. The cars would come down the front stretch here, and they'd go through the turn and head off in that direction. Indianapolis isn't a good spectator racetrack. It's great to watch on TV, but to actually be at the track, you're there for the experience more than anything. And right over here is the Indianapolis Hall of Fame, which has tours and whatnot. A lot of cool race cars and memorabilia is right in there in this Hall of Fame right here. But this isn't the only racetrack that I've actually attended in real life. Let's head to Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Charlotte is over in that direction, and we are here in Concord, North Carolina, to see the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've attended a few races here. When this was taken, it looks like they just finished up the Bank of America 500, but I have sat right over here in this location. A pretty good shot of the start-finish line and the center of the turn. There is the biggest flat screen in the world, unless Texas Motor Speedway took that away, which they may have. This was also where I did my Jeff Gordon Racing School driving. The Jeff Gordon Andretti Racing School used to form up right here, and then we would haul the mail down pit road right over there. And it's a 1.5 mile oval. Here are the garages, and most of the pit boxes were set up right back here, which is pretty cool. I got to see those a few times, and was there when I wasn't supposed to be. But then I had to make me and my best friend Brandon, we had to head all the way over here and then take the tunnel out and then walk all the way around the back of the track to get in. But it looks like there was some activity here. Can't tell exactly what race that is. Looks like a car show was happening when this Google image was taken, but pretty cool racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tokyo, and this is incredible. Just seeing this incredible sight. There's the new Tokyo Tower there. I mean, it's crazy to actually be in this city and moving around. But one thing that I wanted to show you is about where I stayed whenever I went to Tokyo. Let's flip the world up. And we stayed next to Asakusabashi. So that is Asakusa. So there's Asakusabashi. It was just a quick walk across from the station, and we would actually take these land bridges across. We would come down, and then we would hang a left, and we'd walk across this land bridge. And actually, the hostel was right around, if I get my bearings, The Khao Ninja, I believe, was right around here, if my memory serves. It's tucked away in a nice little place. In fact, I believe this may be it. But not a bad walk from the station. Couldn't really see much in the grand scheme of things, but when we went to Asakusa, we had a good look of this tower being constructed. It wasn't finished yet. It was almost done, but let's stand up next to it and just see exactly how tall this thing really is. Goo! That's pretty incredible. I'm breaking my neck trying to find it. Let's see if we can perch on the top of it and get a good look of Tokyo. This thing is still taller than I am at this scale. So I imagine this is like a... Oh, wow. My perspective changed. So, yep, we're right under it. And this is Tokyo. This is the view you would get if you were standing on top of that tower. Pretty incredible stuff. That's amazing. Pretty cool. But here is when I actually went racing. I raced at the famous Laguna Seca Raceway. It looks like a model from this point. You can see the elevation changes, but once you get right on pit road, you can see exactly how tall this racetrack gets. So there's the famous start-finish line, and going up the hill, just around the corner is the Skip Barber Racing School. So this is where we would do classes before we would actually go out and race, and you can actually see some Skip Barber cars here. The corkscrew is quite amazing. It's right over this hill. The corkscrew runs up hill here. There's an observation post right in this turn, right here, that the instructors would stand on and watch the students race. And look at this view. I mean, you're surrounded by mountains, and you can see the cars coming up the hill, hit this corner, and head right up top to the hill. Let's go up to the top and take a look down at the corkscrew. This was pretty treacherous. Video games do not do it justice, but the corkscrew comes around and then drops, and by the time you are at the bottom of the hill, you are looking 4 stories up to the corkscrew right here at the lowest point in the racetrack. So yeah, 4 stories up, bobbing and weaving through there. And the instructors actually took us up on top of this hill to watch the last group run. And this is a pretty amazing view. You get to see the cars come out of the corkscrew and into turns 9 and 10. You get to see them take the Andretti hairpin and come up through the Dunlop corner. Incredible view. Really, really incredible view. And this does a very good job of giving you that sense of scale. Whew. Anyway, I think this will about cover it. I don't want to go too awful long, but I just wanted to show you the sites that I have actually seen and sort of give you a feel of where I'm coming from as a person. Show off some sites that I'm familiar with and know, and it'll be a good time. So let's head back out to the Earth and zoom out, and there we go. The Earth is about the size of a very large beach ball, a couple medicine balls, and the vastness of space. Really incredible. I'd like to see Google do more for sure. But that's going to do it for me in this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold, and I will see you in the next Oculus Touch video. Take care.